My name is Evan Walker, and if there's one truth I've learned at 38, it's that the sharpest knives are the ones you never see coming. The ones forged at the dinner table, polished by polite smiles, hidden behind Sunday prayers and holiday toasts. I was born in a house that looked perfect from the street. White picket fence, manicured lawn, big bay windows that caught the morning sun just right. My father, Richard Walker, was a real estate mogul in Charleston, South Carolina. He'd flip houses the way some men flip coins, with a flick of the wrist and a gambler's grin that hid all the debts he'd stacked behind closed doors. My mother, Sylvia, was the kind of woman who made suffering look elegant. Pearls, pressed dresses, a voice that never rose above a hush even when the world was falling apart. And me, well, I was the golden child once, the good son. Until I wasn't. Growing up, I thought we were happy because we were supposed to be. We ate dinner together every night at the big oak table my grandfather built. My father at the head, my mother to his right, me and my younger sister Claire across from each other, trading secret looks when Dad bragged too long about his latest sale or barked at Mom for not refilling his glass fast enough. Claire and I, we were our own little island in that house. She was 3 years younger, but braver in ways I never was. When Dad slapped my report card on the counter and asked why I'd pulled a B in algebra, I'd stand there swallowing my words while Claire would storm in, all skinny arms and wild hair, daring him to pick on someone his own size. I loved her for that. Hated her for it, too. Because she could say the things I couldn't, do the things I wouldn't. And when she ran away at 16, disappearing into the thick Carolina pines one night and never coming back, I felt it like a limb ripped off at the joint. The official story was that Claire dropped out and got mixed up with the wrong crowd. Drugs, bad boyfriend, maybe both. But that's not the truth. The truth is she ran because she knew staying would kill her piece by piece, the way it killed the best parts of me. For years after she left, I played the part of the loyal son. I graduated top of my class. I stayed home when my friends took jobs in Atlanta and New York. I worked for my father, selling overpriced bungalows to newlyweds who didn't know better. I smiled, I shook hands, and every night I poured myself 3 fingers of whiskey and stood in the hallway outside Claire's empty bedroom, wondering if she was alive, if she ever thought about me, if she hated me for staying. Then came the inheritance. Dad always said the business would be mine one day. Walker and Son. The name looked so good on the sign that it almost made me forget it was a lie. Because when Dad died of a heart attack at 62, dropped dead in the driveway while washing his precious Mercedes, the will revealed the truth. He left everything to my mother. And she, the woman who used to dab cold compresses on my bruises after Dad's bad days, she left it all to the church. Every house, every plot of land, every cent funneled into some tax-sheltered legacy fund to buy stained glass windows and golden hymnals. And me? I got the house, the one I grew up in. The same creaking floors and drafty windows and water-stained ceilings I'd begged him to fix when I was a kid. The same front porch where I sat waiting for Claire to come back long after everyone else stopped looking. For a while, I convinced myself it was enough. I could rebuild, I thought. Sell the house, start over, forgive them for dying with their secrets stitched into their bones. But then I found the letters. Hidden in the crawl space above the garage, tucked inside an old metal lunchbox sealed with duct tape and paranoia, dozens of them. From Claire. To me. She'd written for years. Postcards from bus stations, scraps of notebook paper, even a few photos with dates and half-burned edges. She told me about the cities she drifted through, the names she borrowed, the bruises she earned and gave back. She begged me to come find her. She told me the truth about why she ran. The nights Dad came into her room, smelling of whiskey and stale cologne, pressing hush money into her palm while Mom pretended not to hear. And me? I'd never gotten a single letter. Not one. Mom must have intercepted them all. Tucked them away like dirty laundry she couldn't bear to wash, but couldn't quite throw out either. It took me 6 months to track Claire down. She was living under a different name in Asheville, working nights at a rundown diner, cash under the table. When I found her, she looked both older and younger than I remembered. The same fierce eyes, the same reckless grin, but the edges softer, her laugh lined with weariness instead of fire. When she saw me walk through the door, she didn't hug me, didn't slap me either, which I half expected. She just nodded, poured me burnt coffee and asked what took me so long. We didn't talk about Dad that night, or Mom. We just sat in a cracked vinyl booth, counting how many ways you can lose someone you love. And when the sun came up and the diner's neon sign flickered out, Claire told me she wanted the house, not to live in, to destroy, to salt the earth where our childhood used to stand. At first, I thought she was kidding. But Claire never joked about revenge. She said they built that house like a monument to their secrets. Let's tear it down and build something honest on the ashes. And for the first time in my life, I didn't argue. I handed her the keys. The demolition took longer than I expected. Permits, inspections, neighbours complaining about the noise. Charleston is a city that loves its pretty facades, its antebellum ghosts. But I pushed it through, paid the fines, smiled at the homeowners association meetings and told them we were remodelling. The truth was, we were gutting it from the inside out. First went the furniture, every polished heirloom piece my mother swore would be passed down for generations. We sold some, sledgehammered the rest. I watched Claire smash Dad's mahogany liquor cabinet with a baseball bat she found in the attic. Glass and cheap bourbon soaked the floor like blood. She laughed. I didn't. But I swung the bat next. Next went the walls. The floral wallpaper my mother picked out in the 80s, peeled back to reveal water damage and mould and old pencil marks from when Claire and I used to measure how tall we were getting. She found her name there one afternoon, Claire, age 7, scratched into the drywall behind the pantry. She traced it with her finger like a priest reading scripture. "Burn it all," she whispered. So we did. The last thing to go was the oak dining table, the one my grandfather built, the one that heard every whispered threat, every forced prayer, every clink of a whiskey glass and bite of overcooked pot roast. We dragged it into the backyard, doused it with lighter fluid, and set it ablaze. We didn't say a word, just stood there watching the flames eat away the varnish, the wood splitting and curling like paper in a bonfire. I swear I heard Dad's voice crackling in the embers, telling me to stop being dramatic, telling me to clean up this mess. I didn't. I let it burn until all that was left was ash and the kind of silence that feels like freedom. When the house was finally gone, Claire didn't stick around. She never does. She hugged me in the middle of the empty lot. Bare dirt, wild grass poking through where the foundation used to be. She told me she was heading west this time. Maybe Seattle, maybe Anchorage. Somewhere no one knew her name, no one cared what she'd survived. She asked if I'd come with her. I told her no. I had work to do here. I didn't rebuild the house, not like it was. I didn't slap up drywall and new windows and pretend the ghosts would stay buried under concrete. Instead, I filed papers to turn the lot into a community garden. The neighbours hated it at first, said it would attract the wrong sort of people. I told them the wrong sort of people built that house in the first place. When the first flowers bloomed, wild sunflowers and thick tomato vines creeping up the old fence line, I swear I felt something shift in my chest. Like I'd been carrying my father's shadow in my lungs all these years and was finally learning how to breathe without him. Sometimes people ask me if I'm angry, if burning the house down fixed anything. Here's the truth. Anger doesn't fix. It clears space. Forgiveness doesn't heal. It frees. Some wounds you don't close with stitches. You let them scar, and you wear them in the sun like proof you survived. It's been 3 years since I tore the house down. I still own the lot. I spend my weekends there, kneeling in the dirt, pulling weeds, planting seeds. Kids from the neighborhood help me sometimes. Kids who look at me like I'm just some guy who knows how to make tomatoes grow big and sweet. I like that. I like that no one cares whose son I used to be. Claire calls every few months. Sometimes she's in Portland. Sometimes she's on a fishing boat off the Alaskan coast. She never stays anywhere long enough for the roots to rot. She asks if I ever regret it. What we did. I tell her no. I tell her I'd burn it all again if I had to. Because sometimes the house you grow up in isn't home. Sometimes family isn't blood. It's the people who stand beside you while you torch your past. Sometimes revenge isn't about making them pay. It's about making sure you never owe them another piece of yourself. So if you're listening to this, maybe you have a house too. Maybe not made of wood and brick, but of expectations and silence and old scars that never healed right. Maybe it's time to set it on fire, not out of hate, out of mercy. So you can stand in the ashes and say, this is where it ends. This is where I begin.